Ah, alcohol. It's known to make people all around the world feel a little more outgoing at dinners and dance parties. But the inside of your body sees alcohol as a poison, and it tries to get rid of it ASAP. Whatever your body can't process right away can end up in your brain, which affects how your cells interact with each other and causes all of those things that we associate with drunkenness. So it's totally fine to have a beer or two with your drinking-aged friends, but consistently drinking way too much alcohol can get dangerous in the long run. When you take a sip of an alcoholic beverage, the toxic stuff it contains, ethanol, also known as ethyl alcohol, is absorbed into your bloodstream through your stomach lining or small intestine. Your liver is responsible for filtering out this ethanol and breaking it down, using enzymes and other peptides so your body can safely get rid of it. First, it's converted into acetaldehyde, which is toxic too, and probably a big reason for those nasty hangovers. Then another enzyme turns acetaldehyde into acetate, which is harmless and eventually excreted in urine. And your liver does its best to get rid of all the ethanol you're putting in your body, but if you keep refilling that wine glass, it has trouble keeping up. So any excess ethanol circulates in your bloodstream and eventually reaches your brain. Now, usually foreign substances like bacteria and toxins are kept out of your brain thanks to the blood-brain barrier, basically a filter made of specialized cells and proteins. But it's actually pretty easy for ethanol to get in because it's attracted to fats, so it can pass through those fatty cell membranes. And once alcohol reaches the brain, it starts to mess with the signaling between neurons, aka brain cells. The brain uses these chemicals called neurotransmitters to send messages between cells. The two most important ones are gamma-aminobutyric acid, or GABA, and glutamate. GABA binds to specialized receptor proteins and causes neurons to send fewer signals, so scientists say it's an inhibitory neurotransmitter. Glutamate, on the other hand, binds to receptors and causes neurons to send more signals, so it's an excitatory neurotransmitter. Ethanol interferes with this signaling by binding to both of these receptors and changing the messages the neurons receive. Specifically, ethanol enhances GABA signaling and reduces glutamate signaling, which means there's more inhibitory signaling and slower brain activity overall. That's why alcohol is considered a depressant. And its effects on different brain regions can cause different symptoms of drunkenness. For example, alcohol reduces activity in the cerebellum, which is responsible for motor coordination, causing all of that stumbling. It also suppresses the areas of the brain responsible for self-control and social inhibition, which makes us more outgoing, emotional, and prone to risky decisions. These effects go away as your body continues to process the ethanol, and as far as we know, there aren't any serious risks to moderate alcohol consumption, but ethanol is a toxin. So if you keep downing drink after drink in a short period of time, you can get alcohol poisoning, basically a shutdown of the medulla, which is the brain region that manages vital life support functions like breathing and heart rate. And there are long-term dangers linked with excessive amounts of alcohol consumption. You can get liver cirrhosis, or seriously scar your liver tissue because it gets damaged and doesn't work as well trying to process so much toxin for so long. Scientists also think a lot of ethanol in your bloodstream can put stress on other tissues in your body too, leading to inflammation, interfering with normal hormone levels, and making it harder for your cells to repair their DNA, all of which can increase the risk of developing certain cancers. And even though alcohol doesn't kill brain cells, too much alcohol can also have long-term effects on the brain. There's some evidence that consistently drinking alcohol as a young teenager can impact the growth and maintenance of connections between neurons, sometimes leading to learning and memory problems. Alcoholism is a physical dependence on alcohol, characterized by cravings for booze and the inability to stop drinking once you've started. Scientists also think too much ethanol in the bloodstream over a long period of time could prevent our intestines from properly absorbing thiamine, or vitamin B1, and make it harder for our livers to store and use it too. A thiamine deficiency can lead to Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome, which is associated with the damage or shrinkage of several brain regions and causes a lot of problems in movement, memory, and vision. So, a lot of really serious, unpleasant stuff. Alcohol has a lot of effects on the human body, and because it's a toxin, drinking too much can lead to some serious health concerns. Thanks for watching this episode of SciShow, brought to you by our patrons on Patreon. If you want to help support the show, just go to patreon.com/scishow, and don't forget to go to youtube.com/scishow and subscribe.
Hi, I'm Slim the Drifter, and this is Carrie Lynn Blaine.
Carrie Lynn.
We're the genre band. We call it genre band because, you know, we kind of take a basic idea from a lot of different kinds of music, which we love.
I like to kiss you and throw you, but I don't think I'll be asking to dance. But I can show that every word that you said, you're gonna wait more simple than dead. You're bright, talking big girl once again.
Alrighty, so what we have here is a cross-section of a normal liver.
There it is on camera. You see how its architecture is relatively intact, the color is relatively homogeneous. This is, would you like to hold a normal liver? There you go.
That's a real liver.
That's a real liver. That is somebody's liver, so let's be respectful of that. So this is what a healthy liver should look like. Tara, do you want to hold it?
Sure, it's juicy. I get to say I've held a human liver.
Yes, you have.
Wow.
Okay, so that's, again, particularly notice that the architecture is uniform and the color, and there's a homogeneous quality to it, okay? This now is going to be a cirrhotic liver.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And these are all regenerative nodules. The liver is full of scar, and it's attempting to regenerate itself, and as it regenerates, it comes up against scar and forms more scar.
How long does this take?
To develop? Mm-hmm. Well, women are at about a 5-time greater risk of developing this. Well, no, it's not the size. It's that you actually lack an enzyme in your stomach to break the alcohol down into a safer compound. And essentially, every woman I've treated that drink like either of you do has some degree of alcoholic liver disease. It's not possible that you don't have alcoholic liver disease. I can't say that you have cirrhosis. Not everybody gets cirrhosis, but I worry that you are at risk for cirrhosis. This is a mess, right? This is probably somebody who died of cirrhosis. And what happens is that not only are you unable to take toxins out of your system, and it can affect your brain, and you can become what's called encephalopathic. You can't build proteins normally. You can't fight. Your immune system doesn't work normally. Blood backs up behind the liver, and you actually develop varicose veins in your esophagus. They rupture, and you can bleed to death in minutes.
Over the last 2 decades, alcohol-related deaths have spiked by nearly triple for young people between the age of 25 and 34, killing people in the prime of their life. But why? And how does this affect you? Most people don't realize how alcohol affects their liver. The liver is one of the most important organs in the body. It performs over 500 functions, including building muscle, killing germs, and detoxifying substances that are harmful to the body. It acts like a filter, processing everything we breathe, absorb through our skin, eat and drink, including up to 1 alcoholic drink per hour. Let's take a closer look to better understand what happens once you go beyond that 1 drink per hour. Your liver starts to struggle. It becomes overburdened and can't process the alcohol. The stress on your liver can result in scarring and fatty buildup, causing damage. And it's this continual damage that may go unnoticed for years because you won't feel anything, and there are no visual symptoms until your liver may be beyond repair, resulting in alcoholic liver disease. Myth: everybody reacts the same way to alcohol. Fact: everyone is different. There are dozens of factors that affect reactions to alcohol. Your gender, body weight, body chemistry, time of day, how you feel mentally, fatigue, and the list goes on. People who consume 4 to 5 drinks in one sitting are considered binge drinkers. This concentrated amount of alcohol strains the liver and can result in more damage. However, there are solutions to lower your risk, like avoiding binge drinking and knowing how much you're actually consuming. Understanding the portion size of a drink, binge drinking, and how to cut back or cut out can be the difference between being healthy and active later in life or potentially losing your life. Myth: your family are big drinkers and no one has ever gotten liver disease, so you're in the clear. Fact: liver disease can affect anyone. You are more at risk for developing liver disease if you binge drink and consume excessive amounts of alcohol.
I was a regular alcohol user. I was a social drinker. And as I found out, my tolerance for liver was less than the average person.
I was what I would call a social drinker. You go out to dinner and you have a drink. You go home and have a glass of wine or a cocktail that night to wind down. And it begins to be a pattern. It's obviously damaging over time.
I began drinking in my early 30s, but I drank heavily. I was in a bad marriage, went through a bad divorce. There were no excuses.
Yes, I binge drank. I did what any other university student would do, went to games, drank like any other person that I'd never known.
I just became suddenly ill one evening and turned jaundice. and obviously knew something was wrong.
I started to put on weight, especially around my stomach, but I didn't feel like I was gaining weight. And my eyes and my skin started to turn yellow. And at that point, that was the indicator that got me to the hospital emergency room. And when I got into the emergency room, that's where I got diagnosed with a failing liver.
I mean, I was familiar with hepatitis being related to the liver, but I'd never heard of alcohol-related or alcoholic hepatitis. And I was very frightened because I wasn't given very much time to live.
I was too far along in the disease, and the only option was transplant.
I was shocked with what I'd done to my body by drinking alcohol.
Myth: drugs are a bigger problem than alcohol. Fact: alcohol is a drug, and one of the deadliest. Cutting back on drinking alcohol can save you money, improve your life, and help you stay in control. To find out if you have symptoms or how to reduce your risk of liver disease, speak with your doctor and visit AmericanLiverFoundation.org.
Chronic pancreatitis. Chronic pancreatitis is caused by long-term inflammation of the pancreas, which eventually leads to the irreversible destruction of pancreatic tissue. Chronic pancreatitis develops slowly over time and is predominantly triggered by lifestyle factors in predisposed patients, such as long-standing heavy alcohol or tobacco use, although this is not always the case. Other less common causes are medications that put stress on the pancreas, elevated triglycerides, some autoimmune conditions, and some inherited or genetic conditions, notably cystic fibrosis and hereditary pancreatitis. In some people, the cause of chronic pancreatitis is never discovered and remains a mystery. The pancreas is a digestive system organ that has two important functions. It produces hormones that regulate blood sugar, as well as enzymes to break down food in the digestive tract. When the pancreas doesn't work properly, it affects the body's ability to properly digest food. This means that some people with chronic pancreatitis are unable to get the nutrients they need from the food they eat. They can have trouble digesting food properly or maintaining their blood sugar in a healthy range. This can lead to nutrition-related disease such as weak bones and vision loss. Some people may also have difficulty gaining or maintaining their weight and persistent pain. The hallmark symptom of chronic pancreatitis is abdominal pain. The pain may be intermittent or chronic and is frequently very severe, with stabbing pains localized in the upper part of the abdomen between the belly button and the chest. The pain may radiate to the back and may be triggered by eating, especially high-fat foods. As the disease progresses, the pain may become more severe and debilitating, and often it becomes constant. In some cases, surgery or endoscopic treatment may be required.